release me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy, I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. Just speak low, stand in your row, try not to show this life's a show. Try not to glow way down below. Oh, it's a lot of woe, and that's not a place where you would like to go. I've got cigarettes and brandy, which could come in handy if you just help me loosen up my hand grenades fuse. Baby, don't refuse my truth, but it's up to you not to choose. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true, 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 true,
Hi, you guys. How are you? I hope everybody is doing well. Happy Friday. All right. We've made it. We finally made it. We are now up to the current parole hearing, which took place October 30th, 2025. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. I'm not going to be live tomorrow, but I will be live Sunday night. We'll have our members only. I still don't know what we're going to do for members only, but we're going to have members only live Sunday night. So if you're not a member and you want to be a member, here is the link to that. Let me drop it really quick. There you go. And if, memberships are not a thing for you, you got a fair commitment. There's other ways to support the channel. And then here is a link to my Patreon. There's new content over there as well. If you're not a member, I hope you will go and check it out. There's a free tier too. So you don't have to pay. The free tier is just, updates, the next case we're covering, when I'm going live, stuff like that. But for the tier, I only have one tier, the $5 tier. What you get with that is content that I can't put on YouTube. It's not YouTube friendly. And also, if you're new to the channel, the first case that I ever really researched. I followed a lot of cases over my lifetime, but the first case that I ever really like researched myself was the West Memphis 3 case. I've been following that case for, oh gosh, since 2001 or 2002. And so how many years is that? Like 4 score and 7. It's like a long time. So anyway, I give on my second channel. That's where I have all of the like long form content. It's not lives, it's straight documentaries. I just started, so anyway, but that's where I put all that stuff. And the things that I do in Patreon are a companion episode to the episodes that are on the second channel. So if you're interested in that. I also want to get back to doing what I did in previous years, where I have, I mean, I'm a true crime channel, and people lose their minds during the holiday season. And so usually I cover during I usually do the 12 horrors of Christmas. And so, it's stories, true crime stories related to, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, you know, that's just how I roll over here at the ward. So, I'm going to start doing that, but those are going to be on the second channel for you guys. Also, I'm going to be taking a lot of the content, the videos that I did early when I first started my channel, and I'm going to put those on members only because look, I don't want to delete those. I don't want to delete those videos because I've come a long way in editing since I started this channel, and I'm actually proud of that. But I feel like only the people that really enjoy me will enjoy those videos because they are so rough. So I'm going to put those behind. I'm just going to put those on members only. So there won't. So if you guys are members and you see videos added, they're not new, but you might not have seen them. They're old. They're from like when I very, very first started the channel, like in what 2021, I think is when I started, or 2022. I think is when I started this channel, so that'll be there. Um, no, 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 the 12 horrors of Christmas. So I'm going to do that again. I'm working on a Christmas intro. I have such it's a big idea that I have. I'm really hoping that I can pull it off for you guys because I think it'll be really cool if I can. So that's coming too. And I I'm going to work on it. I have the Nuggie, you guys, which everybody knows is my granddaughter. And so it's very, it's interesting because it's not like she's very good. She's a super well behaved kiddo. And if I said to her, Nuggie, I got to work, she'll just be like, well, how long, Granny? And I'll say, well, like for an hour. So I'll go set the timer. And when the timer goes off, she'll come and get me. But I feel guilty when I do that. So, when I have her, it's hard. I can try to have something for you guys on Sunday for the members only, but I don't want to promise that because I know me. So anyway, that's what's going on. Also, one other bit of news before we start, and for anybody listening now and on the replay, I know that you guys are anxiously waiting for me to get to what you came here to listen to, which is not me talk about all the things. It'll be brief, I promise. Next Friday, Mini Bindi will be here. So, but I'm still going to go live. I told her that, I've made a commitment to going live every night at 9 o'clock Central Time. And she's like, oh, Mom, no, you need to do what she's really proud of my YouTube channel. I know when I sent her the intro that I just played for, tonight, she was like, Mom, you've gotten so good. That might be your best one yet. So there you go. Anyway, all right. Now, but I will be live. I'm just going to. Did it sound like I said that? I'm so sorry. It's the 12 horrors. I guess I said it too quick or something. Come on, Crime Crochet. You can watch it. None of us are pearl clutchers over here. But anyway. So yeah, that's what's on the agenda. So, and that's another thing, like, after we're done with Diane Downs, I think the next thing we should do, and you guys let me know, in the chat and in the comments, maybe we should go over Susan Smith. It's been a really long time. I know that I covered her like most recent parole hearing, but there's a lot of information available, and I can even start requesting some stuff, and we'll see what we can get, and just play it by ear. I'm sure that there's a trial that's coming up that I'm not. I'm sure that there's a trial that's coming up that I've forgotten about, and that I'm going to see it, and I'm like, oh crap, so that might put a little wrench in things. But yeah, Susan Smith, she's quite an interesting case as well. So, oh, Melissa, that's so sweet of you to say that. Melissa says, Jen Lou, please, life is very short. We are not promised our health and well-being. Never apologize for placing Chicky Nuggy first. I would be hurt if you didn't. Okay. Well, I know you guys all understand, but I just like to tell you guys what's going on, as much as I can. All right. Are we ready? This is a current picture of Diane. Well, let me just use her government name, Elizabeth Diane Downs. All right. I've listened to like the first. Yes, Edith, I will. Edith says, Jen Lou, will you be going over Ed Gein? I will. I have a video. It's almost done. I will have it finished by this weekend. I will premiere it Monday. I promise. Cross my heart. Okay. And then the third episode is fairly straightforward. I don't have to do a lot of explaining and talking about the actual episode of the Netflix show. I'm just going to talk about the subject matter. So that should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to try to have these out more quickly. Okay. I just need to learn how to better manage my time. I'm 48 years old, and I would give myself an N, needs improvement, in time management. I've never been good at that. It's bad. All right. Are we ready? Like I said, I haven't listened to not any of it. I listened to probably like the first 15 minutes, and then I was like, no, I'm going to cover this. This is when I decided to cover it. I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to cover it. And when I do, I want it to be, like ODB, a raw reaction. So that's what y'all are going to get. And without further ado, let me turn on these closed captions. All right, here we go.
Good morning, Ms. Downs. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning.
Okay, good. First off, I just want to say thank you to you and everyone else for being patient this morning. We had some technical issues that we had to work out. We're doing these hearings via video. Obviously, sometimes we do run into technical issues. So if we do have another technical issue, we'll stop, we'll fix it, and then we'll continue with the hearing. So it's no cause for any concern or anything. All right, so for the record, I need to confirm, is your name Elizabeth Diane Downs?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and is your SID number 06546106?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just have to make sure I'm talking to the right person this morning. So, Ms. Downs, my name is John Bailey. I'm the board chair, and I'm going to be leading your hearing today. I want to just make sure to confirm that you received...
Now, if that name sounds familiar, it is because John Bailey was part of her 2025 parole hearing. Okay. He's the one that asked the least amount of questions. Yes. Crystal. Oh my gosh. Crystal, AKA Beaver Gaming Sub. Yes, this is her 2025. We're here. We've finally done it. We've made it. He's the only person that will be reviewing what will be deliberating on Diane Downs' parole hearing that was there in 2020. All right. He's the one that asked the least amount of questions, but the questions he did ask were really good ones, important questions. All right, let's keep going. And again, this is also on Diane Downs TV. I will put the link to the channel in the description of the video. All right, here we go.
Your packet of materials from the board and your notice of rights at least 14 days ago.
I did.
Okay, good. I do want to note for the record that live streaming or simulcasting of board hearings is prohibited. Anyone found to be live streaming or simulcasting a board hearing will be ejected from the hearing as being disruptive pursuant to OAR 255-030-0026 sub 6. I also want to acknowledge that we do have members from the media present today at today's hearing. Ms. Mayhew, I see you on the screen. I understand that you're representing Ms. Downs here this morning. Is that still correct?
Yes, Ms. Bailey.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. Mayhew, I have reviewed an objection and a request to set over that was provided to me, sent by you prior to the hearing. The board has reviewed your request for a set over. We are denying that request. And I want to note that the media is present today consistent with Oregon law and the board's hearing procedures. Under Oregon law, the board does not have the legal authority to prohibit recording of the hearing by the media, only live streaming and simulcasting. Of course, should Ms. Downs decide not to participate in today's hearing, the board would consider that a refusal to participate, and then we would deliberate based off the written record. Is there anything else that you want to add to that?
No, so I'm just understanding that you have no way, I'm just trying to understand the distinction between a news media company and somebody podcasting in terms of impact.
Look, ma'am, I don't want to tell you your business and I don't want to come out rude and snark you straight out the gate, but are you brand new? There's a difference between a live stream, which is happening at that moment, whatever is taking place during the hearing is happening live, moment by moment on the internet. That's a live stream. A recording is what we're watching now. That's not live. It happened prior. It was recorded and then put out. This isn't that complicated. I don't understand what the big deal is. Look, here's the deal. The parole board is going to do whatever the parole board is going to do. And it's based on what Diane Downs says. She had a parole hearing in 2008 that she got denied, and the media had nothing to do with that. There wasn't, the internet was around, but it wasn't live streamed or broadcast or anything like that. You can't even find it, and they still denied her. So stop playing with these people and let's just get this show on the road. Okay? Thanks. Bye.
This footage that they take, they can use, manipulate, edit, and disseminate in any way they can, including on the internet. And I do think it is a violation of petitioners. It is prejudicial to her. And I do not believe, I want to object and put that on the record because I don't see the distinction. I understand that the law doesn't make that distinction as you've laid it out, but it's exceptionally prejudicial to her and for her other proceedings that are ongoing.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Mayhew. Again, your objection is noted for the record. I guess ultimately the question is, are we proceeding today?
Your objection is noted. We don't care. Moving on.
Given everything I've laid out, with that objection on the record.
Diane, are you willing to proceed knowing that they're going to be recording and using anything you say to do with what they... Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Diane don't care.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Mayhew. Again, your objections are noted for the record.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So, Ms. Downs, I do want to take a moment to introduce the other board members participating in your hearing today. First, to my right, we have Board Vice Chairperson Ronnie Cleaver.
Good morning, Ms. Downs.
Morning.
To my left, we have Board Member Don Reese.
Good morning, Ms. Downs. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
We also have Board Member Kara Brooks here this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And we have board member Kelly Kuklinski.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do want to note that we do have some parole board staff. First off, we have a parole board staff member that's here with us, just making sure that all of our equipment's running properly and everything's working okay. We also have some board staff who are observing the hearing online for educational purposes. We also have present via phone your brother, James Fredrickson. Mr. Fredrickson, I didn't have a note. Were you interested in making a statement to the board today in support of Ms. Downs?
No, I submitted a letter to the board with my statement.
Okay, and we have reviewed that letter. We've received it. We've all read it. So,
Okay, don't you guys find that interesting? Her brother has been at both her parole hearings, the one in 2020 and the one in 2015 or 2025. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. 2025, and has submitted a letter, and yet does not ever want to verbally speak to her, to speak out verbally on the record, as it were, in support of her parole. I am fascinated to know what his letter entails and if it is actually in support, or if, he is like, look, she's my sister and I'll always love her, but she's not right. She wasn't right in 1983. She wasn't right in 2010. She wasn't right in 2020. She's not right in 2025. And it doesn't look like she's fixing to be right in the foreseeable future. Keep her locked up. I'm so curious what his letter says. I would never try to find it, though, just because obviously he has a right to his privacy. So I'm not going to go and look for it or anything like that, but I am very curious. All right, here we go.
thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, we also have present via video from the Lane County District Attorney's Office, Lane County Deputy District Attorneys Joanne Miller and Eric Knapp.
Uh-oh.
Good morning
Miss
to
Miller's
both
back.
of you. I just want to confirm that you're with us.
You're here.
Okay, and was it, which one of you was interested in providing a statement to the board later today?
Please let it be Miss Miller.
Provided a statement, a written statement that should be possession dated October 2nd, 2020.
Okay, and for some reason, I think that was Miss Miller. Miss Miller, I'm having a really hard time hearing you over here. I don't know if that...
Let's turn this up and see if that helps. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you much better now. Yes, thank you. Can you please repeat what you said?
Excellent. We submitted a statement from the Lane County District Attorney's Office, and that is dated October 2nd, 2025. You should have that in your possession, and that is a statement.
Okay, great. So your office is not going to provide an oral statement for today either. Is that correct then?
That's correct. With that written statement is the statement from our office, and should something come up during the course of this hearing,
Are you following that? Hold on a minute. Let me push.
we understand that statements are limited to don't have statements from family.
Okay. Coffee and Skeleton says, absolutely. Dima was on the stand today and was something else. Are you following that trial? The adopted son murder trial? Is that, have you guys heard of that case? Is that something y'all would be interested in? That's just a sidebar. Let me get back to it. All right, here we go.
Okay. So, Ms. Miller, then what I'll do is I will check in with you just later on towards the end of the hearing, just in case there's anything else you want to add. You absolutely do not have to, of course. It's just I'll make sure that you have that opportunity at least. And again, we have reviewed your statement. We've all read it. So thank you for providing that.
Very good. Thank you.
Of course. And then lastly, I just want to note, my understanding is we might have one or so members of the public observing today's hearing via audio feeds. All right, so Ms. Downs, do you have any questions about who's present for today's hearing?
No?
Okay. I do want to note that this is the time that is set for your parole consideration hearing, which is a hearing to decide whether the board finds that you are no longer dangerous or finds that you remain dangerous, but you can be adequately controlled with supervision and treatment, or finds that you are dangerous and will defer your parole consideration date. We have received from the Department of Corrections an institutional report that's in your packet that was dated August 5th, 2025. That was prepared by a B, I think Chin is how you pronounce that name. It was forwarded to the board by Director Michael Reese. Have you reviewed that report?
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any factual issues in the
I'm
report
gonna
that
speed
you
them
wanna
up
bring
a
to
little.
our attention? You know, we might be asking you questions about it later on, but I just want to make sure there's no obvious factual issues that you want to let us know about.
No, nothing that I can think of offhand. If it comes up, we'll talk about it. I will say, hey, this is a problem.
Okay, all right, well, great, thank you very much. And then, of course, the board ordered and you participated in a psychological evaluation for today's hearing. That was prepared by Dr. Alexander Milkey and dated June 10th, 2025. There was also an addendum to the report authored by Dr. Alexander Milkey and dated September 14th, 2025. Did you read those reports?
I think I only received one.
They were both in your hearings packet.
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes. It all came at the same time. That's why it confused me. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to make sure that you had everything that we expected you to have.
Yes.
All right, and of course we will be talking about those reports a little bit later on in today's hearing. So next thing I want to talk about the total exhibits that we've accepted into the record. First, we have the materials that were submitted by the parole board. These are the materials that were in your hearings packet that totaled 508 pages that were sent to you at least 14 days prior to today's hearing. Ms. Downs, no confidential documents have been received or reviewed relative to your case prior to today's hearing. So what that just means is everything that we have, you have. We don't have something that you don't.
All right.
We received the following additional documents into the record for your case. One was a letter from your brother, James Fredrickson, that was dated October 12th, 2025. We received a packet of letters of support that were provided by you totaling 22 pages. That packet was received by the board on September 30th, 2025. We also received a 6-page packet of materials containing a letter authored by you entitled Request to be Released from Custody with supporting documents. That was received by the board on October 6th, 2025. We received a 5-page letter submitted by the Lane County District Attorney's Office dated October 2nd, 2025. And lastly, we received a packet of letters of support, an additional packet of letters of support that was provided by you totaling 6 pages. The board received that packet on October 16th, 2025. I think I got everything there. Is there anything that you think I'm missing?
I think that's it.
Okay. So with that said, all of those exhibits have been accepted into the record. The board, all 5 of us board members, have read all of those documents prior to today's hearing. And the last thing I want to cover, Ms. Downs, is just how the hearing is going to go, what it's kind of going to look like this morning. So the first thing that's going to happen is either you or your attorney will have the opportunity to make an opening statement. That's, of course, completely optional. It's up to you and your counsel whether or not you want to use that time. After any opening statement is provided, then we will start asking you questions on a variety of topics. And I'm going to start off by asking questions. And I will then turn it over to other board members to ask you questions on the topic that we're on before we move on to the next topic. That's why we try and keep things kind of topic by topic by topic. So the types of things that we're going to cover are things like your institutional spending account, your programming and reformation activities, your employment and educational history, the psychological evaluation, your health, your disciplinary history, your criminal history, including the crime for which you've been incarcerated for, your release plan if you were to be paroled, and we will also cover any other kind of remaining topics or questions that any of the board members also have. Again, I will periodically check in with other board members just to see what questions they have for you. And then after that, we will hear from representatives from the Lane County District Attorney's Office if they want to provide an additional statement. Then you will have the opportunity to make any closing comments or statements before we end today's hearing. I do want to note the board will not be deliberating your case today. Instead, we will deliberate at a later time and we'll send you a written order stating the decision. It's highly likely that we'll take at least one break for today. I generally like to try and go for a couple hours before we take a break, but Ms. Downs, it is absolutely fine to let me know if you need to take a break. And if so, we'll try and time it to meet your needs as well as the board's needs. And then lastly, I just have a few expectations I want to cover for the hearing. So the very first thing I want to cover is since your last hearing, this is new, this is not something we've done historically, until...
So Jen Goodwine asks, she's never admitted guilt, has she? No. The only thing that Diane has ever said that she has remorse for is for driving on that road that night with her kids. That's it. That's all. She lived a careless life. That's what she said. That's her regrets. She still maintains that she did not shoot her children.
I think maybe a year or two after your last hearing. The board has updated our procedures for when we are referring to victims who were minors at the time of the offense. And obviously all three of your victims were minors at the time of the offense. So our new policy and procedure is that we refer to those individuals using their initials. I know that this is new for you, but we ask that you try and do the same. We do that in order to try and protect minor victims. So for the purposes of today's hearing, we will be referring to your daughter who was murdered as CLD. And for your children who survived the offense, we will refer to them as CAD, and your son SDD. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. When we do ask you a question, we are going to ensure that you that we give you the full time to answer the question, and we're going to try really hard not to interrupt you so that you can answer the question we've asked you. I do want to know that it is possible, while we try not to interrupt you, it is possible that myself or another board member, we might end up feeling like we have to do so if we feel like we're getting so far off track we want to try and bring you back to answer the question. So just know that. You're going to also see myself and other board members, of course, taking notes during today's hearing. Because we're deliberating at a later time, we just want to make sure that we are capturing the conversations that we're having and having, writing down the notes that we feel like we need to write down for us to remember what we need to remember. So if you see us taking notes, we're paying attention to you, we're listening. So don't let that think that we're not paying attention to what you're saying. If at any...
Ditto. I'm doing the same thing for my family, so same thing here.
Okay, good.
I am listening.
All right. If at any point you do not understand a question we have asked, please let us know. Similarly, if there is something we say that is not accurate, then please let us know so I can ensure I have accurately reflected your answers.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
It is possible that we may re-ask a question of you if we feel like we need additional information. And lastly, the most important thing is, we're all here to hear from you today. We all have questions that we've prepared to ask you. We've not made up our mind on what to do after today, and that's why we're here for the hearing. So we're going to keep an open mind as we talk with you this morning and listen to what you have to say to the answer to the questions that we ask you.
Now, Mr. Bailey, I don't want to tell you your business, sir, but now you were there last time. Now you know what door you opened up. Bless it.
Do you have any questions about how we're going to proceed today?
No, that was very clear. I only have one question. My mom is anxious for me to get home, and so I need to be able to tell her when I leave when you'll have a decision. Do you have any ballpark of when you'll have a decision?
So I can tell you that we always endeavor to get decisions to AICs within 30 days of the hearing. With that said, we try as hard as we can to get decisions as quickly as we can. At the same time, we're going to give a decision as long as it takes to make the right decision. We're not going to rush trying to make a decision. We want to give it the time that it needs. So we try and balance that. We're going to make sure that we give the time it needs, but we also know that you're waiting, and we're going to try and get you an answer as quickly as we can.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. So with that said, I think, are you ready to proceed?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hey, Amber. So Diane Downs shot her 3 children back May 19th, 1983, and 2 of them survived. 8-year-old Christie survived, and 3-year-old Danny survived, although he is paralyzed from the waist down. Her 7-year-old daughter, Cheryl, did not survive. And to this day, are you familiar with Susan Smith? If you are, Susan Smith, Diane Downs preceded Susan Smith. Diane said that she was driving on a road. She saw a man on the side of the road. He was broke down, I guess, needed help. She stopped the car. He tried to carjack her. She described him as a bushy-haired stranger. And basically what had happened was her whole story fell apart. Then she started adding to her story. She just made it worse. She's a terrible human being. Here we go. That's basically it in a nutshell. If you want to read the description of the video, I broke it down in that, like all the things. All right, here we go.
Okay. So Ms. Mayhew and Ms. Downs, I don't know which one of
Kimberly.
you, if either one of you are interested in making an opening today, so I'll just turn it over the floor to the two of you to see how y'all would handle that.
Mr. Bailey, sorry, I was under the impression I could make a closing statement, and so that's what I'm intending to do. And I'm sure maybe Diane will have some words to get going. Do you want to say something, or do you just dive into the questions?
Let's just dive into the questions. I'm ready. It's been 41 and a half years, and my family is anxious for this to be over so I can get home. And so you guys are here to ask me questions, so let's do this. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will do so. And I'm going to start, Ms. Downs, by asking you questions about your financial situation as well as your education and employment. We're going to cover those two topics together. And my first question, I'm just curious, how much money do you have saved in total, both inside the institution and outside the institution?
My prison account right now says $250, I think, and I have no outside account, no bank account.
You know, I noticed in your materials that you wrote to us that you think you have a lump sum of $155,000 available to you upon release. I just was curious to help me understand why you thought that and where that's coming from.
No, I do not have a lump sum anywhere. It was about a month ago, one of the inmates here was getting ready to parole, and the parole agent came to visit him and brought an application for supplemental security income, SSI. And Nathan did not know anything about SSI and asked what this was about, and the parole agent explained that this is a financial stipend that they give to parolees who are over the age of 65, who have spent a considerable amount of time in prison, and to help them, because even though we believe that we are employable, and I can work at Walmart as a greeter if that's what it takes, but that doesn't mean people are going to hire us because of our advanced years. And so Social Security doesn't want us to be homeless on the street, and so it is a stipend that allows us to be able to get food. And Nathan said that the parole agent told him that that it would be a $310 a month compensation for every year that he was in prison. He came and told me that. I don't know that to be true or not. My brother can't find anything on the internet about that. He has looked, so either Nathan made it up, which I don't know why he would, or the parole agent knows something that we don't know, that when you find me suitable, the parole agent will come here and give me the same papers, and then I will know. But no, there is no money waiting for me. No money waiting.
Okay. All right. That helps. Thank you for clarifying that for me. And then can you just clarify for the board what you're currently doing for employment right now?
Right now, I am a porter in the prison. I've done almost every job conceivable in the prison. I've done everything. I've been a porter, I've been a clerk, I've been a carpenter, a painter. I've done everything but weld in prison. I've been a pipe fitter, I've been a ditch digger, and I'm talking a 10-foot deep, 5-foot wide ditch for laying big old 1-foot pipes for like Caltrans. I've done all the above. So right now I am a porter. I am considered retired because of my age, and that's a retirement job in prison.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Downs. Those are the questions that I have for you on your spending and your employment and education. Let me see what questions the other board members have for you on those topics. I'll start with Ms. Cleaver.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Downs. Do you have any folks or people on the outside who contribute money to your spending account?
My mom sends me an allowance every month. I am the oldest living woman on the planet who still gets an allowance from her mom.
How much does she send you every month?
She used to send me every month, but now that I'm getting ready to go home, she sends me an allowance of about $300 or $400 every 3 or 4 months.
Okay. And is she the only contributor to your account?
Yes.
Okay. And then what are you, so you said you're retired. Is that, so what does your work week look like at this point?
I work third watch. From 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I work for the prison. And from 6 in the morning until 2 o'clock, I take care of everybody else in the unit on a volunteer basis. I do laundry when they have to go to work. I clean. I help the other porters clean. I unload supplies. I just stay. I work in the garden. I'm a fire sign. I'm a Leo, so I stay busy from 6 in the morning until 9 at night. I just stay busy taking care of whatever needs to be taken care of in the unit.
Okay. So just so I just want to make sure I understand. So your paid position is from 2 to 9, and is that 5 days a week, or how many days a week?
5 days a week, 2 to 9. I make 16 cents an hour, so my paycheck is about $20 a month.
Okay. And then the other duties that you talked about, that's more of a volunteer thing that you do to assist other AICs?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. They have to work during second watch, which is 6 to 2, and there's only so many laundry slots, for instance, so many laundry slots. And so their laundry might need to be cleaned while they're at work, so I volunteered to do their laundry for them.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Brooks.
I don't have any questions on these topics.
Okay, Mr. Reese.
No questions.
And Ms. McClincy.
I thought I had read in your materials that you had indicated that you had, I read one place that you had $1,500 saved up and another place that you thought you had around $3,000 saved up. Is that, you don't have anything such as that?
No, and I don't know where you would have read that. I reviewed all the material recently, and I don't remember reading anything like that.
Yeah, I was trying to look to see where, I'll have to look to see where I wrote both of those down. So I will look to see if I can find that. But that was the only follow-up question I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kuklinski. All right, so let's turn to your health, Ms. Downs. I'm just curious, how is your physical health today?
My health is great. I had a full knee replacement 1.5 years ago, and I'm good. I'm on no medications. I stay busy from 6 to 9. I just stay busy. I'm overweight. I like sugar. That's it.
It's pretty unusual for us to talk to someone who doesn't have any medications that they take. It's actually kind of unusual for us. I'm curious, why do you think that is?
I think genetics, really, for real. Genetics. I've never done drugs, and so I didn't break down my body. I get injured because I work hard. I used to when I was younger, so I needed a full knee replacement. But past that, I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. They tested me. I don't have Hep C. I didn't have that kind of a risky behavior. So I don't know. Trust me, they test us all the time for these things, and I have none of the above.
And how is your mental health today?
Mental health, great.
She's still crazy as a bed bug. Don't let her fool you. That's all I had to say to that. I mean, there's no prescription. There's no mental health medication for her personality disorder, her antisocial behavior. I don't think they have medication for that. So that's probably why she's not on anything for her mental health. But trust and believe, she is not right.
I'm under no mental health care. I tried. They say that they don't have the staff available to take care of mentally healthy people, just to listen to us. So mental health is good. I'm in a great mood. So.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I think that covers the questions I have for you on health. Ms. Cleaver, any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Brooks.
No, I don't have any questions in these areas.
All right, Mr. Reese.
No questions.
And Ms. Kuklinski.
Ms. Downs, you had done some work a number of years ago with Dr. Shoji and Dr. Rossi. How did you, I guess, get connected with those services if they don't typically kind of, like you indicated, meet with mentally healthy individuals?
Exactly. Dr. Rossi, years ago, back in 2010, I worked with the captain on my yard and the associate warden and Dr. Rossi, who is a geriatric psychiatrist. And I worked with them to open an old lady unit for elderly, for 55 and older. So I moved into the unit. We opened the unit. I moved into the unit. We worked together to build a program for the elderly women, crocheting, jigsaw puzzles, things like that. And so I worked with Dr. Rossi in that relationship. So that's how she got to know me. Her office was inside of our unit, so she was there during her working hours. And so she saw me on a regular basis simply because I lived there. She saw how I conducted myself, behaved with the other inmates and with the staff on a daily basis, 5 days a week. Dr. Shoji was her associate, and I told Dr. Rossi that the board wanted me to have psychological counseling, or at least attempt to get psychological counseling, and I had been trying for years. And so she asked Dr. Rossi Dr. Shoji.
Yes, Jen Goodwine says, can y'all hear that clickety click? Yes, there's a transcriptionist. That's them, not me. I'm not over here just banging away at the keyboard.
Dr. Rossi asked Dr. Shoji if she would meet with me on a weekly basis. And so it was more as a courtesy for her friend that she took me into her client list. And she saw me at first on a weekly basis and then on a monthly basis, and until we transferred, we left that prison to come to this prison, and that's when I stopped seeing them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So, Ms. Downs, I want to turn to your programming. So, Ms. Downs, I don't know if you recall, it's been a while, but I'm the only board member up here that's actually talked to you before and asked you questions before. And so I don't have very many questions on this area because I remember having a lot of conversation about this last time. So my questions on this topic are really kind of since we last saw you, what you've been up to. So I am curious, what programs have you engaged in since your last hearing before the board?
In the past 5 years, you remember that I took a program, that I was involved in a program called LTOP, L-T-O-P-P. It was a long-termers program. We took classes about anger management, victim impact, things like that. Well, about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, they started something in this prison called CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Treatment. Basically, it is LTOP 2.0. It's exactly the same. They use the exact same programs. So I kind of got a refresher course, but it was more than that. It was because I had been through it and I knew what to expect. It gave me more insight because I wasn't just going in blind and stumbling around in the dark. I understood the end goal of what we were hoping to learn about ourselves and about each other, because it's not just all about, you might think you know what you know about you, but until you hear the story from somebody else, you can relate to, oh, I get that. I never noticed that about myself before. So I basically took LTOP twice. So there was that. Let's see, and then just working. I worked for Canteen. I worked as a porter. I volunteer. I just volunteer my time. I crochet. We crochet blankets, beanies, scarves for the Veterans Hospital and for underprivileged children. And that's basically has taken up all my time.
Okay. I think that covers the question I have for you on the topic then. Thank you very much. Ms. Cleaver, any questions about programming?
I just have a couple of questions. So I just want to make sure I understand. So since you saw the board in 2020, the only official programming has been the CBT course? Well,
no, there are other groups that we take inside the unit. Prison of Peace, I took Prison of Peace. This is a group inside the unit sponsored by staff, as opposed to CBT is something that's sponsored by outside agencies that come in. They're federally supported. You guys have something like that in Oregon, but they don't call it CBT. They call it something else. But it's the same. If other inmates have talked about it, you know what the program is. I can't remember what you guys call it. But so that is the official program that I took. The less official is sponsored by staff, by captains and by lieutenants here. They sponsor classes like Prison of Peace, which is how to work with and counsel other inmates if they are having problems in their rooms and they can't get along, but they don't see the whole picture because they're so focused on their anger or they're focused on winning a battle, that we learn how to counsel them so that it's not all about just winning a battle. It's about looking at the whole picture, seeing it from somebody else's point of view, putting yourself in their shoes. And so that was another class that I took. In the class that was sponsored, in the unit that was sponsored by staff.
Okay, and these are, when you say they're that they're arranged and led by staff, so are these informal sort of groups that they get together, or is there a curriculum that is used?
Hey, Amber, good to see you, babe. I wanted to make sure I said here today because yesterday, man. All right, here we go.
There are curriculums, and it goes on for weeks. These are Prison of Peace that I was just speaking of is actually a 12-week course, and it's quite intensive. There is a class. You sit in the class. There is a curriculum. There are questionnaires to fill out. There are questions. We test each other, and we have groups where we have mock hearings or sessions with people. We come in with a fabricated problem that we've had, or maybe it's been a real problem that somebody's really had in their room, and so we as a group would get together and discuss the best ways to deal with that situation. So yeah, it's an intensive course. It's just that staff monitor it and they sign off on it, because you don't just get a chrono. You guys, I don't know if you know what a chrono is. It's a formal, I sent you many. The staff just doesn't sign off a chrono, say, because for no reason. You have to attend these classes. And if you miss one class, you're out. You're out. You don't get to be part of it again.
Oh, okay, wait, so I just want to make sure I understand. These are required as a part of living in a unit, or once you decide you're going to do it, it's required? Is that what you're saying?
Not required. It's if you choose. Yeah, if you choose to take the group, you have to attend every session.
Okay.
If you don't, then you become a drag on the whole, so you just don't get to come back anymore.
Okay.
There are no requirements for the honor dorm, but the people who are in the honor dorm want to make changes in their life. They want to become better people than they were when they came to prison. And so we bring these groups into our unit because we don't want to have to wait to go to visiting whenever free staff or visitors can come and see us. We want to learn on a daily basis. So there's almost every day there is a group happening in our unit that you can participate in.
Okay. When you say we, are you talking about are you talking about corrections staff? Are you talking about AICs? What do you mean when you say we?
We is AICs.
Okay.
And the staff are on board because they it makes their unit, the fact that we are learning to be better people, that we are learning to not use anger or not use manipulation, that they are on board because it makes their job easier. They get to come to work and get a paycheck and not have to worry about pepper spraying anybody.
Okay. Are there any other of these classes or programs that you've done in the unit over the last 5 years that you think the board should know about or consequential to you?
No. You have the chronos because you have access to my files, so you have the chronos, but those are the ones I think that made the most impact. There's one, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called life scripting. And that is the one where you go back to your earliest memories and you think about what your life was like at that time. And during the first 3 years of your life is impacted a certain way. And then the next 3 years, it's impacted. In the first 3 years, you're completely dependent on somebody else to take care of you. Who were those people and how were you treated? Because that is the foundation of who you become. If you are neglected and left in dirty diapers and stuff like that, you will always feel a need to look for something that's not there. You will always feel like you're not loved, not wanted, not. And even when you finally meet people who love you, there's still that core foundation of unconscious need to feel loved. And that was an incredibly impactful class and very extensive. But it was before the past 5 years. It was prior to that. It was a class that I took probably 8 years ago. So.
Okay. 1 minute. So let me ask you this. I'm going to follow up on what you've just told me. So when you're describing life scripting, you're talking about generalizations of what people can learn. Specifically, right. What did you learn about yourself during that process?
Well, I learned that when I was growing up, I was loved. I was loved by everybody, but I was also sheltered. There was no trauma in my family, and so we didn't know how to deal with trauma. And that was my whole life. We literally lived in a house that had bars on the windows to protect us from the people on the outside. And even though I didn't think anything of it, except we were the only house in the neighborhood, I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. But as I grew up, unconsciously, what I came to realize is that I felt like the outside world wasn't really safe. But my inside, my family was safe, and that was the only thing that was safe. So then when I grew up and I married an abuser, I did not know how to deal with that. The man was just plain mean. And my mom and dad never yelled at us. They weren't mean to us, and so I didn't know how to deal. My parents never struck each other. They never even had an argument. The biggest argument they ever had was when I turned 18 and I was still living at home and I wanted to stay out till midnight, and my dad said, no, not while you're living in my house. You'll be in by 10. And the biggest argument my parents had, they went behind closed doors, and my mom said, Wes, you're wrong. She's an adult. That was their whole argument. That was the whole thing. So when I got married a few months later and my husband turned out to be a batterer, I did not know how to deal with that. He trained me to deal with violence. And so, but my training for my whole life was to treat people with respect and trust. So there you go. So when I met a man on the road and he was flagging me down, I stopped. I trusted. And when he turned on my family, I went into Steve mode. I went into my training as a battered woman. And there you go. So that's what I learned about myself, is that.
Wait a minute, back the milk truck up. This is what you learned about yourself. This is a literal story that you told back in 1983 to the news reporter, whose name is Ann Yeager. her interview with you. This is the exact same story. So you just learned this with these classes? Oh my God. It has begun. It's already begun.
Why would I stop for somebody on the road that I don't know? Because my whole life, my whole training from the time I was an infant until I was 18, my training was to trust and respect. Nobody had ever been mean to me. Why would I expect anybody to be mean to me? The only person who was ever mean to me was my ex-husband. But then when he turned on us and attacked us, I instantly knew to battle with him because that's what Steve had taught me. I did not understand any of that until that class. It was insightful for me.
Okay. I'm just taking some notes, and I do have follow-up questions. So, okay, that's interesting. It sounds like it was an interesting class for you. I guess, you know, in your narrative regarding your childhood and your years living at home, you say that you were just saying how you felt loved and sheltered and there was no trauma. And I guess I'm confused because there are reports where you say that your father sexually abused you, and then you later recant those claims. So, what is that? I mean, did your father sexually abuse you? And if he did not, why did you tell people he had? So can you talk about how this fits into the life scripting work that you did?
I can. My dad did not abuse me. He did not abuse anybody in my family. When my husband and I divorced, after I was in Oregon, my children were shot. My ex-husband came to Oregon. He knew that the only way that he would have hooks in me is if he had custody of the kids. He said, I want my children to come home with me to Arizona. That would force me to go back to Arizona because he knew I would follow them. The detectives at that time said, no, they have grandparents here in Oregon and they need medical attention. So if anybody gets custody, it will be the grandparents. Steve lied in order to diminish their ability to take custody and said, oh, well, you can't do that. Diane's dad is a molester. I did not know that Steve said this until June. It was probably the middle of June. The shooting was in May. So a month later, my attorney said, Susan Staffel of Children's Services wants to talk to you about the molestation. And I said, what molestation? Steve said to Susan Staffel that you were molested. I said, I was not. He says, well, you're going to have to address that. And I said, that's easy. It didn't happen. He said, you can't just tell Susan Staffel you weren't molested, because then it sounds like I didn't have a gun. I didn't do the shooting. I didn't get molested. I didn't. You have to admit something. That way when you say, I didn't, then you're a little more believable. I said, but none of it is true. I didn't have a gun. I didn't shoot my children. I love my children, and I wasn't molested. He goes, I'm not going to let you tell her that. You have to admit that you were. I said, but it's a lie. So Susan Staffel, and then he put me in the room with Susan Staffel, and she goes, so I want to talk about the fact that your dad molested you. I said nothing. She goes, so.
Obviously, once again, we have a scenario where somebody else made her lie. Diane, I know that there are many, many thoughts rattling around in that gourd of yours. And what I'd like to know is why this is the one that won. Because it makes no damn sense.
What do you have to say about it? I said nothing. He would not let me. Then he put me on the witness stand, and he bamboozled me. Nobody else talked about this. My attorney is the one who brought it up and said, now, how do you feel about being molested? Oh, my goodness. And I was angry. He goes, you're angry about that? I said, I'm angry because he knew it was a lie, and yet he's the one that put it on the record. And it wasn't true. And when it came time to talk to the pre-sentence investigator, I told her it's not true. It is not true. My dad should not.
Hang on, let me
have to
fix
wear
it.
that ugly badge for something that he didn't do simply because my ex-husband was trying to manipulate the state because he wanted to get custody of my children because he knew I would follow him back to Oregon if he had custody.
Hang on, you guys. I don't know why it's doing
That
this.
is what happened, and there you go. There's nothing more I can say about it.
Hold on, I'll fix it. I'll rewind it a little bit.
The truth is the truth. He said, you can't just tell Susan Staffel you weren't molested, because then it sounds like I didn't have a gun, I didn't do the shooting, I didn't get molested, I didn't. You have to admit something. That way when you say, I didn't, then you're a little more believable. I said, but none of it is true. I didn't have a gun. I didn't shoot my children. I love my children, and I wasn't molested. He goes, I'm not going to let you tell her that. You have to admit that you were. I said, but it's a lie. So Susan Staffel.
Okay, so she's saying that her attorney wanted her to lie. Do you know how, first of all, they're not allowed, attorneys get a really bad reputation, but the fact of the matter is they're not allowed to lie. And they're not allowed to tell their clients to lie either. They cannot knowingly put you on the stand and ask you a question as their client and elicit a response that they know is a lie. That's not how it works. Yes, Sarah, she did say that she had a class about not using manipulation. Clearly, she did not pay attention the day that was taught. Oh, whew, sorry, I didn't mean to sneeze in you guys' ear. I'm sorry.
And then he put me in the room with Susan Staffel, and she goes, so, I want to talk about the fact that your dad molested you. I said nothing. She goes, so, what do you have to say about it? I said nothing. He would not let me. Then he put me on the witness stand, and he bamboozled me. Nobody else talked about this. My attorney is the one who brought it up and said, now, how do you feel about being molested? Oh, my goodness. And I was angry. He goes, you're angry about that? I said, I'm angry because he knew it was a lie, and yet he's the one that put it on the record. And it wasn't true. And when it came time to talk to the pre-sentence investigator, I told her it's not true. It is not true. My dad should not have to wear that ugly badge for something that he didn't do simply because my ex-husband was trying to manipulate the state because he wanted to get custody of my children because he knew I would follow him back to Oregon if he had custody. That is what happened, and there you go. There's nothing more I can say about that. The truth is the truth.
So, okay, I just have a couple clarifying questions. So, what you're saying is that this was made up by Steve in order to try to manipulate you to return with him to live
Arizona.
Right, okay. At one point you said Oregon, but I assume you meant Arizona, right?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then you're saying that your defense lawyer told you to lie about this to make you look more credible? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I would not have said it that way, but yeah.
Okay.
To put it in a nutshell, yes.
Okay. And so when you met with Susan Staffel, you did not deny it. You just said nothing.
I said nothing.
And when you were on the witness stand, you said you were angry, but didn't clarify it or deny it.
Oh no. He made me say that it happened. He made me say, if you read my transcript, and I'm sure you have, you will see that Jim Jagger testified, and I was just the one saying, no, yes, no. Jim Jagger testified he was the one who testified during my trial. And when that was happening, it was because he knew I was not going to say what he wanted me to say. And so he testified. Now, isn't it true that your dad molested you? Oh, yeah.
Well, you could have said no, right?
I could have said no, and I should have said no. But he said, if you don't, what he told me with Susan Staffel, if you don't say this happened, and then you look vulnerable, and then when you say no, that you didn't do the shooting, you're more believable. Yes. So yes, he was absolutely convinced that this needed to be said, even though it was a lie. And I told him, it's not fair. Why are you going to do this to my dad? He goes, well, this isn't about your dad, it's about you. And I said, no, because now you're turning my dad into some kind of a monster, and he's not.
Okay. So you
It still makes me angry. Still makes me angry.
Okay. You understood, though, that you were under oath and you were sworn to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And that you lied under oath.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Just like Kimber Morrison and Judy Patterson and all the rest.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean.
I'm sure my attorney right now is kicking the table.
Well, what do you mean by Kimber?
My son, SDD, told his nurses about the mean man who shot him over and over. He told several nurses about the mean man who shot him. And The prosecutor did not want the jury to hear that, and so that was ruled inadmissible. They could not hear my son say those things. His nurse, who wrote this down, Kimber Morrison, got up there and said and testified, Danny doesn't care about his mom. He never cared whether she showed up or whether she. And she swore under oath. Hello, you guys left and now you're back.
Yeah,
okay.
just glitched for a moment. Keep going.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Keep going.
So she swore under oath that Danny did not care if I was there. He didn't care about me one way or the other. He never cried for me. The hospital reports showed that Danny, every single day, Kimber Morrison wrote down, Danny crying for his mom. Danny wants to go home to his mom. Danny wants to see his mom. Every single day she wrote this down in the hospital reports. And yet she testified completely to the opposite. And my attorney did not question her, did not cross-examine her, did not say, oh, well, you said here, you wrote here, what about that? He just said, okay, good enough. Any questions, Mr. Jagger? No, we're good.
So, and who was the other person? It was Morrison?
Judy Patterson.
Okay.
Judy Patterson.
And what was
Yes.
your concerns about Judy?
Judy Patterson, the night of the shooting, they did a gunshot residue test on my hands. That was in May. The test did not come back until August, and so they didn't know what the gunshot residue test was going to show, that I did not shoot a gun. So they were still going on their own premise of what they wanted, and you can't even be mad at them for wanting to believe that I did it. But Judy Patterson said 2 weeks later, before the GSR test came back and before they got the GSR test back, she said that I went nowhere near the bathroom. They questioned her a week later, and she said the same thing. After the test came back, in August, and then 1 year later, she got on the witness stand and she swore under oath that I asked for the bathroom, I went into the bathroom, I did not shut the door, I ran the water, and there was no drinking cup in there. Basically implying that I was washing my hands of gunshot residue, because by then they knew there was no gunshot residue on my hands. And so she swore under oath. Mr. Jagger, would you like to cross-examine? No, we're good. And we had the report. The report was right there. She was asked twice by the detectives, are you sure Diane went nowhere near the bathroom? I'm positive she went nowhere near the bathroom, and yet swore under oath that I did.
Okay.
And nobody contested it.
So I understand that you're saying your lawyer put you up to lying under oath, but what motive would Judy Patterson and Ms. Morrison have for lying? I don't understand why they would get on the witness stand, swear to tell the truth, and then under oath lie.
And then lie when the reports are right there and they know we have the reports. I have no idea. I have no idea. My only guess is that the media was sensational and everybody was on board for Hey Diane, and they wanted to be part of the gang, I guess. I don't know. Some people just don't have their own mind. They don't have their own spine. I don't know the answer. And they knew that apparently nobody was going to cross-examine them because nobody did. Nobody did. Jim Jagger did not cross-examine. You can read the transcript. Jim Jagger did not cross-examine either one of those women. He let them lie and he let it fly.
So just so I understand, you're saying that due to your notoriety, they wanted to jump on the anti-Diane Downs train and lie. Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure I understand.
I cannot say that because I've never had the chance to ask them why they would lie. My attorney did not cross-examine them. I can only say, you asked me, why do I think? And so my answer is, I can only assume, based on human nature, is that they didn't want to be outliers. I don't know. I don't know the reason.
Okay.
You asked what I thought. Why do I think they would do that? And based on my experience with other people that I've met in prison that are weak, there you go.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Ms. Downs, okay, I want to just follow up so we're very clear. I understand you're saying you can't know for certain what these people's objectives were in providing false testimony, but I just want to clarify for the record, you're saying your attorney suborned perjury by asking you to introduce information that he knew was false. Is that correct?
Wow, I never thought of it that way because, yeah, that's exactly what he did. Let me write that down. I'll be right back.
Okay, so he could lose his bar license for doing that, but that's what you're saying he did during your trial, correct?
He has already resigned, and so as far as I know, he doesn't even have a license anymore. I mean, when you resign, I think you have to re-up it. I don't know. I'm not out there. All I can tell you is I did not shoot my children. My attorney should have represented me to the best of his ability, And I don't know that he did or that he didn't. I don't know what his abilities were. But I can tell you I did not shoot my children. We have DNA evidence that was found at the scene that my attorney is going to be introducing. And past that, which would prove actual innocence.
Okay, so you're saying you don't know if he did or he didn't represent you adequately, but you're also saying he suborned perjury, he failed to cross-examine witnesses, he failed to present any, I think, rebuttal testimony of a medical expert, correct, despite the fact that you're saying there was doctors contemporaneous with this that disagreed with the state's expert witness, correct?
I'm not saying that. I don't even know what suborning perjury is. I've never thought about that. All I know is
Diane, your current lawyer didn't explain these things to you? See, this is what I mean when I say she's highly manipulative and she doesn't care that the media is there. She actually, in my opinion anyway, thinks that the media being there is a good, which is why she's telling this story. Because if all of these things were true in 1983, then they were true in 2010. I'm sorry, let me go back. They were true in 2008 when she had her first swing at the parole. They were true in 2010 when she had her next swing. They were true in 2020 when she had her third swing. And now in 2025, now she's telling it. Why didn't you tell any of this at all? And by the way, ineffective assistance of counsel is not a very, it can be a very difficult, it's a very rarely successful appellate issue. They don't usually win on that. But if all of these things that she's saying are true, which I don't believe they are true at all, but if they are, there's a record of it, right? There would be a record. We just watched a trial, at the beginning of this year, of a woman who won a retrial because of her lawyer not asking some questions and some comments made by the prosecutor. But yeah, her conviction was overturned. She was out on bail. And then she was retried and she was subsequently found guilty. But the fact of the matter is not that if there were all these documents, as she claims, she always claims that she has the receipts. Ain't nobody seen a near one of these receipts that she claims that she has. It's ridiculous.
what involves me. I know for a fact I did not shoot my children. I know for a fact that there's DNA evidence found right next to the chewed gum and beer cans, right next to the murder casings on the roadway that were found and admitted into evidence, Exhibit 15, that my attorney is going to have tested for DNA that should find the person who actually did this. I know that my attorney, according to the prosecutor in 1991, my attorney agreed with the prosecutor to withhold fingerprints from the judge, from me, from the jury, from the media. That's in Fred Hughey's, Prosecutor Hughey's, he testified to that under oath, that he and Jim Jagger agreed together to withhold that evidence from the court. So that's evidence at the murder scene that may very well identify the man who shot and chewed that gum and drank the beer out of those cans. I don't know. The case truly is still ongoing. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to go look up suborning perjury in my law book. That's why I wrote it down. Essentially, I don't know. I don't know what it means.
And that's okay. Maybe what it means is essentially offering testimony you know is false into the record. It's something that lawyers are absolutely not allowed to do.
Well, that's what the prosecutor did. He had Kimber Morrison's hospital reports.
Here we go.
Them excluded because he knew his witness was going to lie. He offered Judy Patterson on the witness stand, and during discovery gave us her two reports that she told detectives, I went nowhere near the bathroom. The prosecutor offered the evidence too that he knew for a fact was not true. Okay. So
everybody's lying.
Too? I don't know.
Yes. So I just want to clarify, both your attorney and the prosecutor, Mr. Hughey, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Both of them offered testimony they knew to be false, and it sounds like the prosecutor also withheld exculpatory evidence by keeping out, your son's statements. Yes, is that correct?
That he got the court permission to do.
Okay.
The court, Judge Foote, agreed to withhold Daniel's statements from the jury.
Okay.
That the judge knew about.
And then it sounds like at least two witnesses, Ms. Morrison and Ms. Patterson, also provided testimony under oath.
All the cahooters.
Correct?
If you're going to keep the record open, I'll send it to you. That's what you want. It's not me saying it.
What? It is
It's
you
in the
saying
transcript.
it.
It's in the police reports that were discovered to us pre-trial.
Okay.
Everybody knew this. Everybody except the
Oh.
media. And the judge
Everybody knew.
and
Okay.
the jury.
So I want to, we've kind of gone into a specific area, and we're going to talk more about your crimes of conviction a little bit later, but I do have just kind of one question that relates to your growth during your incarceration and potentially programming. Have you identified any weaknesses about yourself that you think you need to work on?
Oh, here we go. This
Either
ought
through
to be
programming or
good.
through, activities or any, have you at any point during your incarceration identified anything?
I recognize weaknesses in myself regularly.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
work on them regularly.
What are they?
One is I trust. I trust too much.
Oh.
I sometimes want to appear stronger than I am
Oh,
because
Lord.
when I was growing up, I was the oldest of 5. And so my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My mom never left us alone. She was always there with us. But I felt within myself that I wanted to help my mom. I wanted to support her. So I helped take care of my siblings. And so as I'm growing up, when something bad, when there's something scary, there's a storm. In Arizona, we have monsoon seasons. So when there's a scary storm, my job, self-imposed, my job was to help take care of my siblings and make sure they're not scared because of the lightning and the thunder during the monsoon season. That was just one thing. When they are first day of school, I would walk them to school and introduce them to their teachers and to the other kids so they wouldn't be afraid. Those are self-imposed things that I do to myself, which they call in prison codependency. You want people to feel, I want people to feel safe and comfortable and not stressed out. So when my kids and I were shot and we were at the hospital, the detectives are asking me these questions, and they have these very worried, concerned looks on their faces. Bless their hearts. I'm glad that they were worried and concerned. My job, self-imposed, was not to make them freak out, to make them feel calm, to make them feel like it's going to be okay. We have it under control. We're a team. We're going to be able to do this. And so I don't panic. I don't lose control. I don't fall on the floor crying and doing all the things that people think that I'm supposed to do. I've learned this about myself. What I wanted to do was just scream and kick and well, I kept running into the trauma room and they kept kicking me out. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to run into the trauma room and do something to fix it, to tell the doctor, what can I do? Is there anything that I can do? And they kept kicking me out, giving me back to the detectives. And so my job now, don't fall apart. Keep calm. So I've learned these things about myself. That's just one thing. I've learned lots of things about myself. And have I fixed it? I don't know that you can ever really fix it. I'm sure I'm going to need counseling, and Dr. McNeil has graciously accepted me as a client when I get out to meet with her on a regular basis because the world has changed out there, and I'm sure I'm going to need lots of counseling. And I don't mean just from prison, because prison's actually been very educational. I've learned things when I see other people doing things, like being impatient. I always ask myself, do I do that? Because that's really dumb. I mean, impatience, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. I told my roommates this morning, they said, Diane, you got this, you got this. And I said, it's going to be what it's going to be. The Creator has his own plan, whatever the plan is. And I accept that. You can't stress out over things that you can't change. That's always been my nature. That's always been my first nature. Unfortunately for me, sometimes that means that I will walk away from something if there's no fixing it. Like relationships. I wasn't obsessed with one man. The prosecutor out of one side of his mouth says she had 4 boyfriends and she was obsessed with one. How does that happen? How does that? I don't understand how that could even happen, but that's beside the point. So yes, there's things that I've
Objection.
learned about myself.
Let me explain to you how that happens, Diane. You've already told this story yourself. You wanted to have a third child, and Steve Downs didn't want to give you that third child, so he manipulated somebody else to have a third child. You will do whatever it takes to get whatever you want, regardless of who it hurts, regardless of who gets in your way. That's how that kind of thing happens. You wanted Robert Knickerbocker. Robert Knickerbocker didn't want you. And so the other people that you were hooking up with at the time, and I'm not, even trying to shame her, okay, at all. This isn't about that. This is about her behavior and, her denying her behavior. These other men were simply substitutes because you didn't want to be alone. But the person that you wanted to be with most of all was Robert Knickerbocker. It's like going to McDonald's and they tell you that, and all you want is chicken nug why would you go to McDonald's to get chicken nug a Big Mac, and they tell you that they don't have the things to make a Big Mac, so you settle for a quarter pounder. That's what you did. That's what these men were. Robert Knickerbocker was your Big Mac, and the other guys were just quarter pounders.
And have always been codependent. Am I still? No. Now when somebody comes and says, Diane, can you come and do my laundry at 6 o'clock at night? I don't feel, I'm tired, I worked all day. No, I cannot do your laundry at 6 o'clock at night. I worked all day too. So I have learned these things about myself, that those are weaknesses. I consider them growing up as strengths because I'm strong enough that I can do it. They're not. You don't have to fix everybody's problem. I've taught my roommates to say, if I didn't break you, it's not my job to fix you. And I believe it. I believe it. So yes, there are many things.
Yes, Diane. That's what you are. You're a fixer. Yes, I can totally tell that about you. You're a complete fixer. Yeah.
That I learned in prison and from these groups, and simply by observing around me. If I see something that is just absolutely crazy, I always ask myself, do I do that? Because that's really stupid. There you go.
Okay, great. I just want to clarify, you were mentioning how you were behaving in the hospital just a moment ago. And correct me if I'm misunderstanding where you were going with that, but there was some mention of the fact that police thought you had an odd demeanor, they didn't think you were reacting appropriately. Am I understanding that you are saying because you have this overly trusting issue, at least you have historically, and you, as you said, you're codependent, that's the reason why you were behaving strangely? Am I connecting the dots here?
That's why I was behaving the way that I was, that they perceived to be strange. The nurses wrote down, I have a hospital report, that when I was admitted to the hospital, they said, mother in shock, cannot comprehend what's happening. So that never quite made the headlines, but it's there. The hospital report is there. The medical staff, the nursing staff understood that I was in shock, but it didn't fit the scenario, I guess. I mean, everybody has a job to do. So their job was, for whatever reason, put me in prison. So you can't fix it. Don't stress on it.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Downs. I'm going to turn to Mr. Reese.
Thank you. Ms. Downs, it sounds as if then not only did your defense attorney fail to do their job, which would be to give you zealous representation in your defense, but that additionally the case prosecutor and the police detectives also knew that there was exculpatory evidence in your case that simply was not presented in court. Is that correct?
Yeah. I know we are not supposed to be retrying the case, but 15 years in 1998, 15 years after the trial, Judge Haggerty issued a subpoena, was the first judge to issue a subpoena to order the state to give us their police reports. 4,700 documents we were given that we had not received. So it's not just me, it's not sour grapes. This is me living this case for 42 years and being on the front line and knowing exactly what was withheld and what wasn't withheld. We got a report the shooting was in 1983. We got a report in 1998 withheld by the police. We made three motions for discovery. This report was not given to us until 1998. That shows that 2 days after the shooting, somebody called the police and said, we know who shot the Downs children. He's a Free Soul affiliate. Call me at this number. They never called. The police never called that number. We were not given that report. That's exculpatory. The state had a responsibility to
Wait a
give it to
minute.
us. Mr. Jagger asked for it 3 times.
Wait a minute. No. That's potentially exculpatory evidence, but she's telling the truth, then it would all go to discovery. And yes, they should have given that over. I suspect, though, see, these are excellent appellate issues. That's a huge appellate issue. So why has her appeal gone nowhere?
The judge said, finally, Roy Pond, Detective Pond, took the witness stand, and the judge, he admitted that he withheld evidence, that he destroyed evidence, that other detectives destroyed evidence, and the judge said, wait a minute, I want to question this witness. Under voir dire, The judge said, are you telling me then at the time that you were investigating this case that the evidence, the reports proved this woman was telling the truth? And he said, yes. He said, when did you stop investigating? And then the judge asked my attorney, oh, he said, and I kept investigating the reports until Sergeant Hintz ordered me to stop investigating. The judge asked my attorney, do you have a question? He said, yes. When was that? 2 weeks after the shooting. Then what happened to you? Then he was sent to work as a county jailer, at a jailer in the county jail. And he was removed as a detective from the case. That is all in the transcript. This is not just me wishing that that's what happened. That I can tell you for a fact. This is not me thinking it. This is me having read these documents over and over, saying, how come nobody wants to read this? Why does nobody want to read this? So, there you go.
Okay, so just to kind of take you back to where we were, it was really at the time of the trial that I was talking about, because I just want to make sure I understand what you were telling Vice Chair Cleaver. At the time of the trial, there were reports and documents that had been provided by the police or the prosecution to your defense attorney.
Yes.
That
Three of those documents, 3 of the police reports. Go ahead.
okay, and those could all be said to be exculpatory, and
Yes.
witnesses testified contrary to what was in those reports. So I just want to, because if that's the case, then that meant that the police and the prosecution, as well as your defense attorney, at the time of the trial, all knew that this testimony was contrary to what was in the reports, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we're not putting them on trial. It's too late. There's nothing that can. I am not out to get the prosecutor. That man. I'm probably the only person on this planet who likes Fred Yugi. The only person in my family. My dad hated Fred. I respect Fred. I support Fred. He and his wife, Joanne, did not want children. My children were handicapped, and they stopped their lives to take care of and protect my children. Fred knows I didn't do this. If Fred thought that my children were in danger, Fred hid them. He took them and he hid them. He's not hiding them from me. I'm in prison. Fred hid them because he knows that the man who shot them is still out there. I respect that man.
Wait a minute. Back the milk truck up. Back the milk truck up. You're saying that the prosecutor, who she's telling the truth, he did ultimately end up adopting her surviving children, right? Knows that there's some man wandering these streets and has been for the last 42 years who's capable of shooting children. And he's just like, no biggie. Shut up. This doesn't even make no sense.
Do not hate him. He raised my children. He loves them. Nobody will ever make me say anything bad about Fred. The transcript shows what the transcript says. Yes, Fred did some things that were wrong because he needed to put me in prison, because he needed to stop the investigation because they could not find the man who did this. And as long as Diane's in prison, then the man who did this thinks he's safe and my children are safe. I really believe in my heart that's why Fred did what he did. Not because he hated me. Not because
Wait a minute.
he wanted.
Wait a minute. So what you're saying is he knew the case couldn't be solved, so he just pinned it on you. And now you're in prison, so this guy's just going to stop. So a person who is capable of cold-bloodedly, I don't think that's a word, but today it is because I can't think of the other word, in cold blood, shot your children, killing one and gravely wounding the other 2. And by putting you away for the crime, this man, what guarantee would Fred Hughie have that he would never, that this person would never kill again? If they're capable of doing it once, they're capable of doing it again, which is why we have prisons, right? Which is why you're up for parole right now, right? Because they're trying to figure out, you were capable of it once. Are you capable of it again? Have you learned your lesson? Are you still a danger? You're not the danger. Some bushy-haired stranger is out wandering the streets, fully capable of doing this again, and has been for the last 42 years. but somehow you being in prison for this crime is the thing that's going to make this person no longer a killer? Do you hear yourself? How does that even sound right in your brain?
Close the case, well, kinda. But he wanted to protect my kids from the person who did this, and it wasn't me. It just, if it was me, why would he hide them? Who's he hiding them from? Not me. No, we are not trying to turn this around and make Fred Hughey the bad guy or Jim Jagger the bad guy. This has nothing to do with it. This is years after the fact. Jim Jagger.
What are you talking about? You're not trying to make them look bad, Diane. You accused them of a number of different things, all of which have real life legal consequences. Are you freaking kidding me? I don't want to talk bad. No, this has nothing to do with oh my God.
He retired. Fred Hughey retired. Everybody's retired or dead. We're all old now. Crap. I was going to get through this without doing this. Anyway, no, this is not about Bash Fred Hughey Day. It just isn't going to be about that. I have too much respect for him.
Oh my
God. I
God.
wasn't suggesting that it was. I never said that.
I know.
You said that, and I was really just trying to clarify.
Because that's how I was starting to feel protective of him.
Okay.
Oh crap! I'm still codependent.
Well, let me ask you about that because you told the other board members that you've learned through programming that you're too trusting.
Yeah.
And that if I just make sure I understand that, because you're too trusting, that led to you stopping on a road in the middle of the night for a strange man who ended up shooting you and the children. Is that right?
Yes.
And that because you were too trusting, you agreed to falsely accuse your father of sexually abusing you. And because you were too trusting, you were wrongfully convicted.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
I trusted that the police would do the right thing, that the law is something that everybody has to abide by, not just the people on the street, but also the law keepers and the law givers and the law enforcers. I assumed that they would be doing the right thing, and you expect that your attorney is going to do what he's supposed to do, which is represent you to the best of his ability. I didn't know until 8 years later that he actually was Fred Hughey's co-worker in the Lane County District Attorney's Office. That was a surprise to me. So the year before my dad hired him. So yes, I trusted. When I told the police what happened, I believed that they were going to find him. I had no reason to doubt that they were going to do that. When my attorney said, I need you to talk to the media because people have been calling the office and saying that the police are not following up on their leads, I need you to talk to the media so that more people will come and give me leads. And I trusted that that was the right thing to do. I trusted that when the media came and said, Diane, we know you love your kids. Here's your opportunity to say how much you love them. And so I did, because I couldn't see my kids and I worried about them. They were in foster care and I worried about them. And so I took the opportunity to.
But you didn't say any of that. Instead, you spent that time talking about how, you couldn't tie your shoes for 2 months, how you have a metal plate in your arm, how you are going to have a scar for the rest of your life. That's what you spent your time talking about. And when you did talk to the investigators in the very beginning, I'm talking about the hospital interview, okay? There were 2 tapes made. The first tape is all about you, very little about the crime and what happened that night, very little of anything that could ever be used to locate this man, okay? And the second tape is nothing but Robert Knickerbocker. Shut yo mouth, ma'am.
Tell my children how much I love them and I miss them and I want them to get better and I want them to be okay. And none of that ever made the news, but I trusted that it was going to, because that's what the media came to me with. I was young. I was stupid. I was naive. I was inexperienced. The only violence in my whole life was ever Steve Downs. And I wasn't prepared to find out that the world is not exactly what I thought it was.
Okay, so which of the programming that you have participated in led you to realize that you are too trusting?
That would have been the, oh shoot, what was the last one? I wrote it down because I can never remember it. Life scripting. I can never remember that name. It was the life scripting class.
Okay, so
Because
that's,
it actually, go ahead.
well, I'm sorry, but to be clear, that's the programming you've been engaged in since the last time you saw the board. Is that right?
No, that one was about 8 years ago.
Oh, that was 8 years
about
ago.
8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've been on this path of healing.
So
I am a literal person. I take everything literally.
All right.
When you say, what happened on May 19th? What happened on May 19th was we were shot. Literally, that was it. But what, and when people say, did you hurt your children? Literally, no, I didn't. And during this life scripting class, I realized that I did. That 8 years ago was an epiphany for me, and it's like the floodgates have opened. I did. If my children had not been with me on that road, nothing would have happened to them. I didn't want somebody to shoot my children. I did not have a gun. I did not shoot my children. But if my children had not been with me that night, they would not be dead and injured. I am the reason for that.
Ms. Downs.
I am the reason for that.
Ms. Downs.
And I know that, but I did not understand that because I am a literalist. I am a literal
Hold on a
person.
minute.
Oh, okay, Ms.
Mr. Reese. I know you're trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube and try to reel her back in. Good luck. I wish you all the luck in the world. I don't think you're going to be successful, but here, let's see if you can.
Downs.
And that opened it up for me.
All right, so thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I really want to get back to the question at hand, or the topic at hand, and it really goes back to the beginning when Chair Bailey said that he wanted to ask you about what programming you did
Yeah.
since the last time you saw the board. So we've now established that
Yes.
that this issue of learning about you trusting too much, you'd already gained that insight
Yes.
8 years ago. So, and I'm
Yes.
sorry if maybe you said this and I missed it, but what if anything have you gained insight about or learned in the last 5 years since you saw the board last?
I've taken cognitive behavioral treatment.
Yes, and you mentioned that, but what did you
right.
did you learn something from that? And if so, what?
It was victim impact. It was LTOP again, in which I took 10 years ago. So it was a refresher course. What
What
I
did
learned
you
more about
learn?
myself? That is not easy. That it's not easy to undo a lifetime of behavior.
Oh my God.
Trusting. You have to be able to trust to an extent. You can't just not trust anybody. That's not healthy. And it's not good for you. It's not good for anybody else. So I have tried to learn to balance between the two. But everything goes back to life scripting. Why do I do something? If somebody comes and they say, Diane, I need you to do something, and I can do it, I do it because I want to do it, not because I feel like I have to do it anymore. But if I feel like I have to do it, why do I feel like I have to do it? Is it because if I don't do it, they won't like me? That's never been the reason, but that's one of the things that they teach you. I've never worried about not doing something because I won't be liked. That doesn't really bother me. But it's just building on that. Every day practicing that skill. You don't just take a class and that's the end of it. You have to practice it every single day until it just becomes second nature for you. And so every time somebody asks me something, it's a practice lesson built on life scripting.
Oh, okay.
The
Fantastic.
classes that I've taken, Prison of Peace, it was great. It teaches you how to
We know. What did it teach you?
mediate other people's problems, but while you're mediating somebody else's problems, it opens the door for saying, hey, I had that same problem at some point. Maybe I had, whether it's a problem with a roommate or a problem with a staff person or a problem with something at home. My mom just recently ended up in the hospital.
Oh, for the love of Pete.
There was nothing I could do about it. So go back to life scripting. Why do I feel like I have to do something about it? The doctors are taking care of her. She's in the hospital. She's being rehydrated. So there's nothing you can do. So stressing on that isn't going to make mom any better, and it's not going to make you any better. And those are things that I've learned in the classes since then, because every class that I've taken since then always goes back to life scripting. Always goes
Coffee.
back to why. Because I'm a person that needs to know why. I need to know why. Everything. Why do I do what I do? Why do other people do what they do?
Yeah, you've been talking for, I don't know, 11 billion minutes, and you still haven't even answered the question. You said a lot of words, and you ain't said shit.
Why do they not do what they do? So
All right, thank you, Ms. Downs.
She's not gonna answer you, Mr.
Mr.
Reese.
Christie, any questions about program?
Yes.
Oh,
Ms.
God.
Downs, you took a victims impact course back in 2018. Can you tell the board a little bit about this program, just your experience with the program and what you learned?
Yes. Victim impact. I think they probably have the same thing there. But in case they don't, I will give you a brief rundown of what it's about. They bring in video screens and
Diane, why are you acting like you're doing this woman a favor by giving her a brief rundown? She asked you a very specific question, and you still have not managed to answer the question at all. In fact, you flipped it around and acted like you're doing her a favor by explaining something that she asked you in the first place. What are you talking about? Nothing with you is ever brief.
and people that have been victims of crimes, various crimes, will tell their story, and then we talk about, inmates, we prisoners, get together and we talk about how would you feel if you were that person or if you were that person's family? How do you feel knowing that you maybe did something like that or that you did something that led to something like that happening? And so we basically rip open our souls to talk about that particular case, whether it's a rape case or a robbery case or an assault or a murder or whatever. And so in those cases, we are able to, because everybody in the class wants to be in that class. Everybody wants to figure out why they did what they did, why they became.
Right. Did you get to that point? Did you figure out why you did what you did? What was your takeaway from that class? That's what she's asking you. My God.
The person that they became. And so we are open enough to talk with each other about things. And maybe somebody else will say something. That's what impacted me. That's what made me finally realize it is my fault. It is my fault. You don't have to pick up a gun to make it your fault. And so it was hearing one of the other girls talk about her story about she was that she had done something to provoke her husband to attack her, and she ended up killing him. And so while it wasn't her intention to kill him, what started was her provoking him to anger, and she just won the battle. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you that was what came out in the class. And so looking at it from that point of view, it helps all of us say, hey, I can relate to that in one way or another. Maybe not exactly that way, but in another way. And so Victim Impact is a class that was sponsored by the outside. They send.
Okay. I'm going to let her finish this question and then I'm going to go. But Coffee and Skeleton says, are you putting up a Christmas tree, Jen? Yes. I'm waiting for Minnie Bendy to get here because she wants to do it with Chicky Nuggy.
People from the outside world that come in and teach it. It's not guard sponsored. And they go to all these classes and training and stuff to be trained in what to say to us and what to ask us.
Oh my
that provokes
God.
us to look past what we thought we knew to something that we didn't know about ourselves, about our victims.
Right. What did you learn?
So that's what Victim Impact is. We watch videos and we talk.
Right. What did you
Okay,
learn?
You said that people that are there, they want to be there because they want to kind of know why.
All right. I can't be on this hamster wheel with her anymore. So we're going to stop it there. I'll be back Monday night with this. I'll be back Sunday night to do a members only live. I don't know what we'll do. We'll figure out. I'll figure out something fun for us to do. But whatever we do, it'll be fun. I promise. It will not be this. Although I do find it fascinating because we've watched an hour and 25 minutes of a 4.5 hour parole hearing, right? And so far, not only has Diane Downs not learned a damn thing, she's taken the extra step to now add in new claims, not necessarily new claims about the crime itself, but now she has new allegations and new claims against prosecutor, her defense attorney, and witnesses for the state. Well played, ma'am. Well played. You've learned nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right, you guys. So we'll pick this up on Monday, but I'll see you guys on Sunday for our members only. All right. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for being here. If you haven't done so already, would you please do me a favor and give your girl a thumbs up or thumbs down on the stream? And if you have the option after, I don't know how long it takes, but if they give you the option to hype the video, do me a favor and hype the video too. Oh, yes, Jen, I'm sorry. And the judge. There were a lot of cahooters in this scenario. So there's that. All right, you guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of your night and a great weekend, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye.